for many of the learners that would have sat down to take their matric exam. And I think that the class of 2025 does need to be commended. Why do they need to be commended? They need to be commended because, well, they have been able to achieve for the first time an 88% pass rate, 88% matric pass rate. It is the highest that we have seen in our history. And this is not inconsequential. It matters. It matters because there is hard work that has gone into this effort. There is dedication that has gone into this effort. If you look at the number of candidates that achieved a bachelor's pass, it's 46% of the group that have sat down to write for matric exams. 28% achieved a diploma pass, and 13.5% achieved a higher certificate pass. And all of these are signs or indication of how our education system is performing. So we really do need to give the matric class of 2025 a big round of applause and toast to them for their achievement. Now, one of the things that I have been noting while listening to the show this morning is just how these matric results are being received. And I think that that's something that we need to sit down and have an honest conversation about. The class of 2025 has done what they needed to do. So, number one, the way in which we shape and craft narratives is so important. And I think that this issue of the pass rate is perhaps one of the most distorted and harmful narratives that has been created around what it actually takes for a young person to say that they have been able to pass matric. So people talk about, no, this matric pass, the National Senior Certificate means nothing. How can you talk about passing when the pass rate is 33%? The pass rate for matric is not 33%. It is not 33%. How it works, the National Senior Certificate, to obtain a National Senior Certificate, one must pass their home language 40%. They must pass 2 other subjects 40%. And then they need to pass 3 additional subjects by at least 33% in order to qualify for a National Senior Certificate. So it is a minimum requirement to pass matric. It is the lowest thresholds, the lowest threshold for some subject, not for all subjects. So it is not true to say that the matric pass rate is 33%. And no matter how much we refuse or obfuscate that, it doesn't change the fact that the national pass rate for the National Senior Certificate is not 33%. And the reason why I'm saying this is because from the way the conversation has been going, people are using that narrative to discredit what it is that these young people have been able to achieve for themselves. So here's what we can do, right? We can critique the system and ask whether this system is working the way that it should. The criticism is fair. Interrogating policy is necessary. Demanding better outcomes is equally legitimate. But shaming learners, shaming young people who have just come out of 12 years of schooling. That is not helpful. And in fact, it is unjust on these young people. Why am I saying that? Number one, they did not set the curriculum. They did not set the standard for themselves. They did not decide the pass threshold. They did not allocate resources to schools. They did not choose whether a school had a library, had a lab, had qualified teachers. They wrote the exam within the system that they were given. Holding them responsible and wanting to shame them for structural failures or things that we may see or identify as structural failures actually misdirects their accountability, because they have worked within the system that they were given and they have succeeded within that system. So this very idea that, this pass, there's nothing to celebrate, they've accomplished nothing. What is that? What is that? Because this is the system that they were given. What else do you expect them to do? How can they do better outside of a system that they were given? The least we can be doing is encouraging these young people and helping them pave a future for themselves. If we see that the National Senior Certificate does not open doors of opportunity for young people, then how is it helpful for us to say, well, this doesn't get you anywhere? Then why are we condemning them to a system that gets them nowhere? When we speak against these matriculants, we're not only speaking against them, we're speaking against ourselves. When we condemn them, we're not only condemning them, we're condemning ourselves. How can you expect that a democracy that undermines and that humiliates its young people can have a future? Because all we're breeding is anxiety within them and a sense that they have failed even before they have begun. Even despite the fact that they did whatever they needed to, we are saying that they have failed. And by the way, they're walking already into a context where they're going to face high unemployment, where they're going to have to navigate the pressures that come with trying to forge a life and a future for themselves. I think that's something we need to think about and we need to reflect on as a society. What are we actually doing? What are we actually building? And is our anger directed at the places where it should be? Because that responsibility ultimately, it rests with us, but not with these young people. So don't take away their hard work. Don't take away their effort. Don't take away the nights that they spent working. Don't take away the effort of the teachers as well. Why? Because this is the system that they were given, and they succeeded within that system. So let's have the conversation about the matric and the pass rate and just what kind of doors and opportunities this National Senior Certificate opens for young people. But what we will not do, we will not shame, we will not humiliate, and we will not disregard the effort that these young people have put. Criticize the system, criticize the policies, but don't misdirect your anger. Please, these young people do not deserve it, and it is incredibly unfair to put the burden of that on them, as they're supposed to be sitting now and planning a future for themselves within this country and within this context that they have been given. So we'll take your calls on the open line, the National Roundtable. That's what it is. 086 000 2032. That's the number to dial. 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. So coming up on the show, we'll start with the open line. I'll be taking your calls, and I know there'll be plenty of you that want to reflect on the matric pass rate and on the class of 2025. There'll also be some learners who may want to call in as well to talk about the experience of having gone through the matric year. In the second hour of the show, it is a Tuesday, we'll be talking finance with Brian Hirsch. It's the first day of the month, and today we're going to start the year looking at credit ratings, an important conversation. And we'll also then branch off into the question around trust. It was a big one as we rounded things off last year. And then, of course, what we will do is that for the final hour of the show, we will then also begin to continue to build on some aspects of this conversation around the matric class of 2025 and bring you the learners, some of the learners that have done incredibly well and are being celebrated for their effort. On that note, we'll take a quick break. I'm back with your National Roundtable.
What's up, Mzansi? Dinalanga Ndifulumu Dibedi, and I'll be a part of the brand new telenovela on SABC2. Come with me into a new era.
This message is brought to you by Eskom, redefining for a better future.
Hey, South Africa. Want to keep your lights on and save money? Let's use electricity wisely. It's easier than you think. Switch off lights when you leave a room, unplug chargers and appliances, and use energy-saving bulbs. They last longer and use less power. Every little bit helps for your home, your wallet, and our planet.
Let's make it a habit and use electricity wisely. Eskom.
As we celebrate 90 years of existence, SAFM takes you back to the voices that shaped a nation.
Berea, the home of the four bespectacled Tisson brothers, all of whom work or have worked on the English service, particularly Audio Mix and Radio Today. Watch how the night proceeds towards dawn.
And
I need a lot of consoling when I started the early program. People couldn't believe that John O'Donnell and B. Reid were chosen for the early morning program, because if ever two announcers used to want to swap a morning shift for an afternoon shift, John and I would do it.
90 years of trusted voices. This is SAFM. Call us on 086 000 2032.
All right, we continue the conversation on the open line. It is your National Round Table. I'm taking your calls on 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. That's 0614 104 107. And on X at SFM Radio, the hashtag there, SFM Talking Point. So we'll start off the show this morning then in the Free State. I understand we have on the line Bokang Mukubung, who is the National Senior Certificate Top Achiever in the province. Bokang, good morning to you.
Good morning, ma'am.
How are you doing this morning? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling excited.
You're feeling excited. You've done incredibly well to end up being the top achiever for your province. Tell us, what were your results? Give us your results. It's your chance to brag.
Currently, I'm on the road, so I haven't received my certificate yet. I haven't seen it.
So you haven't seen your actual breakdown, your transcript of results yet.
Yes, I have.
So all you know is that you're the top learner.
Yes, I know that.
What did they say to you when they called you?
They told me that I'm invited to the ministerial announcement MSP results for the 5 select performing later.
Oh, wow. And how are you feeling about that, Bokang?
I was so happy to know how to.
Yeah, how would you describe the year? What did it take for you to get where you are today?
The year was, but to the teachers, well, remember that because they not that God is always covered everything that I did. And for me, I put all of my effort, everything that kind of disturbs me, I put it aside and focus on my work.
Are there any people, Bokang, that you want to thank this morning for contributing to your journey, and even how they may have contributed to your journey?
Yes, there are people I want to thank. I want to thank all the teachers from my school, which is Mozambique Secondary School. They really helped me a lot. Their support was great.
All right, Bokang, I can hear that you're on the road, so we're going to leave it there with you for this morning. Interesting, Bokang says that he has not received the transcript of his results yet, but he knows that he's the top achieving learner in the province. So I guess it will be wrong for us to tell or to speak about his results if he himself hasn't received his results yet. So let's just say that we'll update on this one later. We'll give you an update on what exactly Bokang's results are. But he is the top performing learner in the Free State. He's the top performing learner in the Free State, and this is in the quintile 3 schools. In the quintile 3 schools, in fact, he's the top grade 12 learner in quintile 3 schools in the whole country, not just in the Free State, in the entire country. He's the top performing learner under the quintile 3 schools. Let me go to Teboho. Teboho, you're calling from Memo. Good morning.
How are you?
Yes, I'm well, thank you, sir.
Yes, Katie, mine today is to congratulate all the medics who have made their effort to pass this week. Those who didn't make it, I think they must try again. And so what I want to talk about is that okay, whether the medics are vile or let me challenge them. I just want to ask them. I don't have any intention to go to university, but mine is to be a captain. But I need a base. Do I have to get a or I must be suppressed for that so that no, I don't understand that they are reasonable or what. But the fact of the matter is that these people have done their effort to pass their matrix. All you have to do is congratulate. There is no need to praise them up for their effort. People like Bokang, my homeboy, I think they did their fantastic job for this country. So we must encourage them. We must stop criticizing them. The active college is not there, they will go there. But they not necessarily all of us will go to university. Not necessarily all of us will have to work for the FM. No, there is no need. Some, of course, will need to have expenses. You understand what I'm saying? So there's no need to criticize Netflix as whether they are valid or no. So like this, my man must be reminded that not all of us are on the same level in terms of intellectual capacity. We're not on the same level. I'm not saying those who got them maybe they are less valued. No, but it depends on the individual. I thank you.
All right, Tabo, thanks for that. Thanks for that contribution. And look, for me, as I said earlier, let's debate the policy, right? Let's criticize the policy inadequacies, inefficiencies that we see, by all means. But let's not try and shame and humiliate those that have gone through the system and take away from their own accomplishment, which is just the sense I got listening to a lot of the listeners on the morning brief and how they were contributing to the conversation. And it becomes about shaming the learner. We have to make a distinction. By all means, criticize, but don't criticize somebody who passed and passed legitimately so. It's not their fault that the pass rate is what it is, whatever issues you might have with it. The point is that they were able to pass and they were able to meet the standard that was set for them. That is the point. I'm going to be taking more of your calls. 086 000 2032. 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, we'll be taking your calls on 0614 104 107. That's 0614 104 107. It's edging towards 9:30. We're going to take your latest news headlines. And of course, we'd also love to hear from you. Maybe you had learners or children that were in matric this year or last year rather, and they've now received their results. How are you feeling as a parent this morning? In particular, about what their future holds and just how you're guiding them and helping them navigate that space. Let's take the latest news headlines.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the Eastern Cape says it will conduct a detailed analysis to identify areas that need intervention in education. The province is the worst performer in the matric class of 2025 after achieving an 84% pass rate. Polled 1 South Africa has called on government to scrap the 30% pass mark and replace it with a minimum 50% pass requirement. Yesterday, the party held demonstrations outside the Matric Results Centre in Johannesburg ahead of the official results announcement. And the Cape Winelands District Municipality says a fire at Wemmershoek near Franschhoek in the Western Cape is still active. The fire, which started in Langrug last week, flared up in some areas. I'll have details on these and other stories at 10.
To all pedestrians, please wear light or white clothing when walking at night. Headlights cannot pick up dark clothing soon enough to save a life. And to all road users, rest every 200 kilometers or at least every 2 hours. If you feel fatigued, pull over safely. Falling asleep at the wheel leads to head-on collisions that are almost always fatal. And the rules are simple. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and jaywalk. If you need to party, stay over. Brought to you by the Department of Transport, moving South Africa to new heights.
63-year-old Almero knows all about saving with Outsurance.
We do save 417 Rand. That's about 5,000 Rand a year.
That's an awesome saving on Almero's 2021 Ford Ranger.
And there's an out bonus that you get if you don't claim for 3 years. I am really looking forward to it.
How much money could Outsurance save you? Get a quote now. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Three-time champions, the Super Eagles, mean business while searching for their fourth title. But the Atlas Lions are confident red and green will dominate green and white. This is the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. Witness the semi-final meeting between Nigeria and Morocco this Wednesday, 14 January at 9:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus, SABC 2 and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Then on SABC radio stations at 10 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2025. It's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
Let's have the conversation at SAFM Radio on Twitter.
Good morning, Kate and the team. Thirdly, the Minister of Eastern Cape must be fired. Be fired. No, it didn't work like this. No. Our prophets must be the last. This minister must be fired. Asanda Ado.
Cathy, I am absolutely grateful for the way you address the criticism that has been leveled at the children's outcomes, the students' outcomes. Professor Jansen, he's been so critical, and I know who you're talking to. He doesn't even have the backbone to congratulate the students for their effort. Some of them with hardly any resources because of the inequality in the country. This is not inequality just about education, but that is where it is. He's been so rude. Thank you, Cathy. Teresa, Cape Town.
Good morning. No, so disappointed by these people at friends who undermine Matric 2025. Something is really wrong with them. Even on social media, you find folk from the EC and LinkedIn saying President in the world because of influence. Yet there is only one Indian among the top achievers. Six of the six in the street. Well, then, why people in the streets are rural districts. But you see tribalists with self-hate online trying to give credit to other races just because their own provinces didn't perform as good as KZN. No, change our mindset, black people. This self-hate, no.
Hi, Katie. I hear you, and I agree with you in terms of the system that the people are operating. The only thing I would have loved in your positioning is to actually mention that the TA is disingenuous now, because they were the ones that were bashing these metric results. Now that it's their minister, they are trying to celebrate them. I would have added that if I were you. Thank you.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
All right, thanks for those WhatsApp voice notes. You're listening to The Talking Point. We continue the conversation on the National Roundtable. 086 000 2032 is the number to dial. 086 000 2032. And on the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. Let me go to Bushbuck Ridge. Mr. Lemius Mashile, you are the General Secretary for Santaco. You want to weigh in, for Sanko this morning. You want to weigh in on this conversation.
That's correct, Casey. Last year, October 2020, we encouraged support their children who are doing it. And we always still want to continue to support these children that have passed and that have failed in order for them to be able to see the future, whether in rewriting or teaching the class. We as Sanko congratulate those that have passed, and we really see their future in the university and also the University of Technology and also to technical colleges. Those who did not make it, the future, as I've already it lies in the rewrite of the subject they can improve on, or class, or technical college. As you have already indicated, it is not every child that exists that is expected to go to university. Hence, the debate on the pass rate is actually disingenuous. Some of us that are criticizing the current material have been taught by teachers that repeated subjects at time or repeated courses in university. And therefore, anyone that really criticize this as it as team meant from yesterday, it is not really correct. Unfortunately, the results have been released almost on the We are aware as Sanko that there are schools that have already opened last week for certain classes. We really want to actually support that kind of commitment to ensure that the children put the hard work right from the beginning of the year.
Okay. All right.
It won't pay you to try and put hard work right at the end when you're writing an exam. You must put the hard work right now, and then you'll see the result. It's from the hard work, nothing else is the result.
Mr. Mashile, thanks for your contribution on the open line. Lemius Mashile, he's the General Secretary for Sanko calling in from Bushbuckridge. And please don't misunderstand my position, at least. You criticizing the system, by all means, critique it. Why? How can we get better if we're not shaped by different thinking, if we're not shaped by differing views, right? The minute you have everybody agreeing on something is the day that you know that something might be up. Means we've stopped growing, we've stopped learning. But let's not misdirect that criticism. Sihle, you're in KZN. Good morning.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Well, thank you.
I don't know whether I'm well, but I'm okay, I would say, ma'am. Yeah, just looking
Why?
at you.
What's wrong, Sihle?
I'm going to manage this education, man. I'm going to, I don't like it. I
Mm.
went through it myself.
Mm.
Yeah, the pressure I had last night, I
Mm.
couldn't sleep. I have two sons who were writing and a niece, not to mention the others that I know who were writing,
Mm.
who we were waiting the results for.
Mm.
I couldn't sleep. Around about 10 o'clock, I was so relieved when my eldest son called me to tell me that his brother passed. And now it is about he passed. Now, how did he say? Oh, yes, he got his treatment.
Mm.
My other son got the D. I don't know what they call it. I
Diploma.
remember I had something like that. I remember when
Congratulations, Sihle. Congratulations. They've both done
here.
well.
You both done well. I understand, man. They both done well. But you know the pressure it puts us under this education. And I wish we could say, and looking at the very education, it really teach responsibility. Because it about the right is really, really right. Just you, you teach you to go to there, you go to university or to technical, and programming us to be workers. Okay. Yes, you have those entrepreneurial skills here and there and stuff like that. You know, this education really, I wish we could change this, that is so kept us. One of the callers, I think, said the system was not implemented yesterday. Yeah, I do agree. It was not implemented yesterday. It is not right. Yeah. I'm telling you, if you have learned to grow and label the locusts, you don't eat it. But you have people see nothing when they grow up and eat. This is replaying. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Like we congratulated the class of 2024. Like we congratulated the class of 2023. 2023, I was so disappointed. I'm not sure whether I was at 2022. There was one learner from Umlazi, if I'm not mistaken, a young girl. He got 6 distinctions and 1 B. It was like she failed because all her friends got 7 distinctions. You know the pressure this thing brings to those who did not make it. But for it, I believe, yes, it is the system that we live with now. But how can we change the system? I wish we could go. Sorry, ma'am. 1 minute. I wish we could go for 3 days to school, and then you take the kids to the forest and teach them how to bring back wood, how to have cows. That is where we learn responsibility, not to sit for those long 8 hours, 8 hours for 12 long years, programs to be employees, something like that. I'm sorry, ma, raising my voice, but congratulations, but the system needs to change, Bafwe.
So
I don't
Sihle,
know how can it, ma'am.
I want to ask you, because you talked about the anxiety you as a parent went through, especially last night on the eve of the results being released.
Yes, ma'am.
You now know that both your sons have passed, one with a diploma pass, one with a bachelor's pass. So that means that at the very least, should they want to study further, either of them would be able to access institutions of higher learning. The certificate says that they will be capable of surviving institutions of higher learning. Why do you still sound stressed? Why do you still sound anxious?
I don't know. They can go to university degree doesn't guarantee them employment. Also, even if it guarantees them employment, if they look at employment, way of life we are living now is so expensive. Depends also on how on what job you get or something like that. You know, this education before, way back when our fathers grew up, was the ticket. Definitely was the ticket to better better opportunities and now definitely not, man. Definitely not. The class of 2024, okay, I wonder how many people are going to get a job there.
Okay.
Class of 2025, same thing, you know. Angazi now whether I'm answering your question, but this education before it, one way or the other, we need to change it because we as Africans, we had our own education, which taught us respect, which taught us responsibility, taught us a lot of things, a lot of values. This education, this one, is teaching us individuality. You know, I pass, you fail, or you fail, or you pass, I fail. You know, it taught us a lot of selfishness. You know, and yeah, man.
Okay,
But
Sihle.
congratulations to the class. Thanks, man. Have a nice one. Thanks for the great show.
Thanks for coming on to the show. Yeah, you know, interesting reflections there from Sihle. But perhaps the one point I want to pick up on is that the education system is not responsible for the state of the economy. So what we know is that young people that have higher qualifications beyond matric have greater access to job opportunities than those who don't. That's what the stats tell us. But even that being said, one's ability to get a diploma, a degree, is not the determinant to whether or not they have a job to walk into. That is a whole other problem. It's an economy problem. And so the reality is, Sihle, it's not only about the education, because even if you're to get 50% pass, you know, even if you're to get increase the minimum threshold to 50%, right? And have more learners with bachelor passes and have more learners with diploma passes, as we are seeing, it doesn't change the number of jobs available in the economy. And that's what we really need to contend with as a country. Those are the questions and the issues we need to be solving for, because it goes to the heart of the problem. Did we ever think that we'd be in a situation where doctors don't have jobs? So you can't say it's because of the quality of qualification that they have. They've spent 7, 8 years in school getting the requisite qualification. But if there are no opportunities for them in the job market, then they're going to sit at home without a job. And we need to be focusing our energies on that as well. Sekhatli, you're in Mangweng. Good morning.
And compliments to the new session.
Yes, sir.
My take today is not that problematic or in a way, it's just to congratulate all the learners, stakeholders, teachers, Department of Education, SDB, the parents and the learners themselves for making it. I'm so happy, Cathy, when I see, even if like, you are number 9 as a province, but you're still having to obtain over 80%. It's just that we cannot be one in position one all of these, but we all made it. South Africa, South African learners has made it together with the stakeholders, including their parents. I'm so happy. Just that this morning when I come to work, and then one of my the one of my person that I ride with working together, as going to work. He got 2 distinctions, but unfortunately he didn't make it to get. But it's so the only thing is a frustration on the team. He was crying, and then we have to calm him down and advise him what needs. I wish that can also be happening in the schools or other institutions where they can be able to align them, those who passed like the way I am explaining that one, who know what else. Because 2 distinction, a diploma, you were actually expecting or you were driving through the bachelor. So now the frustration is on that field, not knowing what to do. Then that's what I'm saying. There was another way during the school terms when they were explaining that they can be able to be advised. If it happened this way, what is the next step?
Absolutely,
What are the next
Sekhathi.
steps?
I hear you, and it's around the career guidance, career planning,
Correct.
but also making sure that young people are aware of the pathways that are available for them as entry points into the workplace, regardless of whatever it is that they may want to do with their lives.
No, right, Cathy, even when I was still, remember, someone like myself, I never even went to fresh. I don't know what is a grade R, and then I found myself in the, what is called from 1 to 1.5. The standard grade 4 today. Anyway, I understand that we were also taught was time when we were having to be sent to the career guidance for that kind of situation. And then I'm not sure whether it's still happening there at school, but I know it's, the education in South Africa has advanced. But otherwise, it's just that I'm so not happy, little bit about not the child not knowing.
Yeah.
Until when we speak to touch there and then not knowing whether we're advising the child the right way, but we said, let's go to the, wait for the statement of results. The teachers are still your teachers. Go to them and ask them what next. Am I going to supplement, or am I supposed to be a full-time student?
All right,
or what?
Sekhathi. I'm going to have to leave it there with you. I've got a break coming up, but it goes to Sitla's point, the anxiety around these results, but also how are we educating and preparing them?
Every day, Rand Water's underground pipelines run through servitudes across the country, carrying millions of liters of water to our communities. But when people build too close, it's called encroachment, and it's very dangerous. If a pipeline bursts, it can flood homes, destroy property, and in many cases, people lose their lives. That's why Rand Water marks its servitudes with blue and white beacons, a clear warning to stay clear and safe. When we protect Rand Water's servitudes, we protect our communities too. Rand Water, finding new ways.
Extra your work hustle with free gifts from Vodacom, like the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 256 gig from just $1,699 per month over 36 months on a 6 gig red core plan. Comes with a free Samsung Galaxy Tab A11 LTE worth $3,999. Plus, get 5 gigs YouTube data and 2 months free YouTube Premium. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
The Lions of Teranga have a big plan to demonstrate that they are the 2021 champions. However, the Pharaohs want to emphasize that they are the 7-time record holders. This is the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. Catch the semi-final contest between Senegal and Egypt this Wednesday, 14 January at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Plus, SABC 2 and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Then on SABC radio stations at 7 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2025. It's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
All right, let's continue taking your calls on the National Roundtable. Let me go to Rosebank. Butana, good morning.
Good morning, my sister. Good morning, Cathy. How are you?
Good morning, Butana.
Well done. Well done to these children. It is a milestone worth celebrating. Despite all the odds, I need to celebrate that milestone. Despite all the odds, remember, you've done very well. Very well. I agree with you that this it was major our own government. Our own government for 30 years. For 30 years. And what irritates, by the way, and this government, aside, not all of them will go to college or university. Some of them will be sitting at home, stuck in private. But listen to see what you're saying. This children are not make effort to look for a job. They are and what is love? What is inside to this children? That they stand to what are they putting of this country? Man, this the uneducated man, the victims have to be blamed. It's so shameful. They say he was responsible. Give them the footage. Give them the footage. Give them but read that thing. But well done to the jury. Well done.
You know, Butana, you are absolutely correct, right? If we are unable to take the accountability where it needs to go, then everything remains the same. I mean, the key question and the concern that one hears from our callers this morning is also around what future are these young people stepping into? And is our education system alive to that? If you've got young people that are uncertain about what their options are, if they do not get a diploma pass, if they do not get a bachelor pass, then these are the gaps that we should be working to address. But you can't expect young people to work with what they have not been given and what they don't have.
Indeed. But they must celebrate the hard work that they've put. They must celebrate their milestone. You know, you cannot not celebrate that milestone. It's a huge achievement. It's a huge achievement. Of course, the future is not does not look bright. The incompetent children. You know, the incompetent. It can't change the conditions for the children
Mm,
to
mm,
do well.
mm, mm,
The
mm.
university is done. All they do is just to okay, I work in the mine. I went there, take a in the and
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Butana. Let me go to Skara. Skara, you're on Flagstaff. Good morning.
Yes, Keith. Yeah. May I just react to the irresponsible and reckless judgment that the decision the East Coast and the West. That is because it is club operated. 80 plus. 80 plus. What more do you want? 80 plus. Out of bad conditions that the teachers in the rural areas are working under. Eh? No. No, 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 no. That statement is no, no, no. Doesn't for I don't say any position number one, number two, number from in the way that is above average. That is wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Skara, thanks for that contribution. Station, you're in Duduza. Good morning.
A very good morning to you, much God. Uh, you know, I want to congratulate our students like kids. I give us believe you one way back. Cathy, they could one because of Peter to get 50% coming. Is it that you root from or from the lower because you can't allow kids, I mean the kids to be what percent, but just street it's about because it's not uh, kids who want to go to varsity. What is that percent for? Did they really have to one? You can't be saying percent pass rate. If you don't have a trend, you must make sure that we've got proper resources because our schools are sending resources. These kids, they are doing their level best to get that. And I mean, if you know that you want to show the school that what are requirements to be, but they're speaking about the dropout from grade 1 to grade 12. You know, and you're wasting it because some of the students lose interest because everybody like I said, they must come with something else. Not that one. Can't just because this must the key could be in line requirement in the agenda. So
Okay.
maybe our politicians or our parliamentarians I think this should be one. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Station, thanks for that contribution there. Look, of course, many of you are weighing in on on this conversation, and I do think that there are a number of issues that we can build on coming out of these different contributions that have made, especially on skills, right? So if we're looking purely at a skills perspective, which is what one of our callers, Sihle, was pointing to, what does this National Senior Certificate represent from a skills point of view? What does it tell us about what you are able to do and how you can contribute to the workplace? Let's take your latest news update.
In our top stories, the Eastern Cape reflects on matric results and UK probe into X over AI deepfakes. Good morning. The Eastern Cape says it will conduct a detailed analysis to identify areas that need intervention in education. The province is the worst performer in the matric class of 2025 after achieving a 84% pass rate. Premier Oscar Mabuyane is concerned.
The problem, of course, it's not and then might have challenges is a system just that take back from this current.
World One South Africa has called on government to scrap the 30% pass mark and replace it with a minimum 50% pass requirement. Yesterday, the party held demonstrations outside the Matric Results Centre in Johannesburg ahead of the official results announcement. World One South Africa says the current pass mark jeopardizes students' ability to access institutions of higher education, while this ultimately affects their employability. Its leader, Dr. Musi Maimane.
If you are assessing learners at such a low level of 30% in certain subjects, you achieve these masked results that show that we are increasing the number of people who are passing. But in fact, in many instances, the proof in the economic building is the fact that you've got to say to yourself, do they end up being employable? Do they end up in spaces where they can be able to say they can compete with anyone else in the world?
The bail application of a man accused of the murder of two road accident fund beneficiaries is set to continue in the Nelspruit District Court in Mpumalanga today. Sidwell Koza allegedly connected Shitlamariso Sambo and Kenneth Nkuna to a lawyer to process the RAF claims. After the payouts, he allegedly demanded payment for his services. Later, Koza apparently orchestrated their kidnapping and murder, and some of the money was transferred to his bank account. The Cape Winelands District Municipality says a fire at Vemershoek near Franschhoek in the Western Cape is still active. Spokesperson Aniska Root says the fire, which started in Langrug last week, flared up in some areas. She says conditions will be reassessed.
Suppression efforts will continue today on active fire lines, while monitoring and mopping up operations are ongoing in areas where the fire has been contained. Fire line conditions will be assessed this morning, after which strategic actions will be determined.
And finally, the British government says it will speed up the introduction of a law banning the creation of non-consensual intimate images. It follows widespread condemnation of Elon Musk's Grok AI chatbot, which has been used to generate fake sexual pictures. The BBC's Zoe Kleinman reports.
Grok has been under fire for undressing women in photos when prompted by others without their consent. There's also evidence that it's generated sexualised images of children. Technology Secretary Liz Kendall says the law will change this week to make it illegal for someone to create these kind of images without consent, and also illegal for a company to supply a tool which will do it for them. Ofcom has also announced an urgent investigation into whether Grok's owner XAI has complied with the Online Safety Act. If it finds that XAI broke the law, it could fine the company up to 10% of worldwide revenue.
Recapping the top story, the Eastern Cape says it will conduct a detailed analysis to identify areas that need intervention in education. The province is the worst performer in the matric class of 2025 after achieving an 84% pass rate. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.1 FM in Durban North.
It's that time of the year again. Back to school. New uniforms, fresh books, and new beginnings. As learners return to the classroom, let's encourage them to dream big, work hard, and stay focused. Parents, teachers, and communities, this is where the journey continues. SFM wishes all learners a safe, successful, and inspiring school year. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
What would you like to change then, very quickly, in one line?
What I'm saying to you that it cannot be about everyone who lives in it.
Am I right in saying, if we say, according to your interpretation, South Africa does not belong to everyone who lives in it?
I think that is a fact. That is a fact for me. I wouldn't know how to put it in a better way, but really, that's something that we need to be considering, which will then help our public servants.
Limpopo Premier Dr. Poppy Ramathuba, lots to consider. South Africa does not belong to everyone who lives in it. The Premier agrees with that.
Ashraf Gada on SAFM.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
You're listening to The Talking Point. Welcome to the second hour of the show. It is 9 after 10 o'clock. Coming up in this hour, we are going to be talking finance with Brian Hirsch. Ooh, I know it's not a great time to talk finances. Why? Because we've just come out of the festive period. Tomorrow is school reopening. I want to ask what the state of your bank balance is. I'm looking at my producers, Kanya and Lebo. Lebo's Kanya's hanging her head, and Lebo's not even responsive. He's just like, Cathy, please, I've got 3 daughters. Don't try me. Tomorrow is back to school. So we're going to be talking finance with Brian Hirsch. Within the 10 o'clock hour, he'll be joining us shortly. Before we get to that, lots of different reaction from you on the conversations we've been having this morning, in particular on the matric pass rate. So we'll just play some of your voice notes and then get into our finance slot.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Hello, Cathy. This is Prof. Nanas in Mpumalanga. I feel like those who are criticizing must be given their own time slots. Let's say this week we are celebrating the matric results, and then whoever wants to criticize can start next week criticizing. Let us not cloud the celebrations and the efforts that these young people have put together. A younger sister was in matric. She did well this year. It's time to celebrate. There's a lot to criticize, but let us start by celebrating the efforts and the work that they've put. And then maybe next week, Monday, we can start criticizing and then open a platform for all those people who want to criticize. Thank you.
Good morning, Talking Point team. I'm Nobuntu from Cape Town. I just want to thank you for your opening statement that is so true, full of wisdom, and that protective tone. I hope the protesters listen. I also hope the policymakers listen. Thank you, Kathy. And I want to add a little bit to what you said. These kids are entering the world that is already not looking their grades, but looking and judging by their color of their skin and their gender. Please podcast this.
Kathy, you're speaking to Sepe from Togoza. Kathy, I agree with you 100%. You know, children, when they were supposed to go to school, there was no transport. There was no scholar transport. But the transport was available when there's the rallies for these political parties. From all the 9 provinces, all the transport were available for all these political parties. But there was no transport for children were traveling distance to go to school because there was no scholar transport, especially in Northwest. Thank you.
I passed matric in 1976 and I went on to do 2 law degrees at 48. There was such a major disconnect between matric and university that it was such a relief to be doing university studying. So I'm trying to say, let's give the matriculants who have passed a big round of applause. This is a big break for them to say the door is open for you to realize your dreams. It doesn't matter the degree of passing. This is a realization of their dreams and reaching their destiny. This is Mpumelelo Nyobe, an attorney from Kabeja. Thank you.
Cathy Mohlahlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SFM Radio.
Talking Finance with Brian Hirsch, making sense of your finance.
Oh, Brian Hirsch, compliments of the new year. Happy New Year. Great to be back with you on the slot talking finance. I hope you've rested well and you're reinvigorated for 2026.
There is no truth in the rumor, Cathy, that I'm sitting on the beach at the moment, and that's why I'm not in the studio. Good morning to you. Just, having just come back, and I don't need to tell you paperwork, which we didn't respond to, just needed extra time. So I look forward to seeing you in person next Tuesday. Morning, we'll via this process.
Brian, we always give you the benefit of the doubt. So nobody thought you were on the beach.
Yeah, and a happy new year to all our listeners. I mean, I hope people had a good holiday. People arrived home safely. Good luck to all the kids that are matriculated. Good luck to all the kids going back to school. And, it's the beginning of the year, and let's just hope for a good 2026. A peaceful 2026. And I got a most beautiful prayer from a Portuguese prayer that says, don't wish for anything this year, just wish for things that you can get away from, that you live the life that you wanted to live. Beautiful.
Thanks for sharing that, Brian. Brian, I'm going to ask you just to make sure that you've got your handset close to you,
I'm right here. I'm
because
right on. Why am I not coming through clearly?
yes, there's some points where, as you're speaking, I'm losing you somewhat, but we'll play it by ear. If we need to reconnect the line to you, we'll absolutely do that. So today you wanted to talk about two things, Brian. You first wanted to touch on credit ratings and just give us an overview going into 2026 and a sense of why it is important for us to watch what is happening with the credit ratings. And then we're going to get into a conversation that our listeners, no matter how much we talk about this, the issue of trust, it just always finds a way of coming up. It is such an important discussion point for many of our listeners in terms of planning their finances, planning their estates, and that is a conversation around trust.
Yeah. So let me deal with it. The first thing is credit score. It's unbelievable. You have to have accounts. You have to have debt to get a credit score. So someone who pays on time for everything, has no accounts, cannot get a credit rating. And it's ridiculous that you have to have accounts to get that credit rating. So let me start off about credit ratings. There's a rating that you get, and you get it by determining certain things. You can have a bank account with an overdraft facility. Even if your bank gives you a 5,000 Rand overdraft facility, you can even have a credit store with a store card, the Woolworths, the Checkers, the Truworths, Edwards store, a telephone contract, a home loan, vehicle finance or personal loan, and a cell phone contract. All of these count towards your credit rating. And when you got that credit rating, the most important thing is you need to be diligent and make sure first pay everything on time. So if you've got a store card, make sure you pay everything on time. Pay before on the due date. Never skip payments. Avoid paying only the minimum on credit cards if possible, and that's been a no-no for me all along. When you have a credit card, pay in full when it's due, because you start paying interest from day one. Late or missed payments harm your credit rating. And keep credit rating usage low. Try to use less than 30 to 40% of your available credit. Example, if your credit limit is 10,000, try not to owe more than 3 or 4,000. High utilization obviously signals financial stress. And then don't apply for too much credit at once. Every application triggers an inquiry. These questions are asked of you. And too many queries just to create that score only apply when necessary. And keep accounts open and active. Even if you've used an account and you now have a nil balance, just keep it open. And then check your credit record regularly. There are various organizations, and if anyone wants them, they can go on to www.dhca. I will let you know the companies who are TransUnion, Experian, CompuScan, a company called XWS. So you can check on that. And then check for incorrect information, accounts you don't recognize, judgments or defaults. And it can take 3 to 6 months of good behavior to establish a basic score. And for 12 to 24 months, a strong. And if you have no credit history at all, a simple starting point is open a low limit credit card, put a small amount on that expense, example, fuel and groceries, pay it in full every month. And everyone's today's got a cell phone, and you can add a cell phone contract if you don't have one. It's absolutely critical when people are looking to borrow money, need an overdraft, want finance for motor cars, or a bond, you need a credit score. So start building up that credit score as quickly as you can. And for those matriculants now who probably, many of them will go to university, but they will maybe have to pay certain accounts at university, start building up that credit rating. Again, anyone wants information and they want this, what I've just said, they just go to my website, www.bhca.co.za, and I'll send you all the information you need to build up that credit score in order to get finance.
And Brian, just before you continue, how often would you recommend we should be checking our status with the credit bureaus, getting those credit reports that are available? I know that there's some entities that make them available for free once a year, whatever the case might be. But how often would you recommend we check our score?
Cathy, once a year. Once a year is good enough. When you're starting out, I think you should check to see every 6 months the areas of your credit areas reflect. So every once a year at least, it's not difficult to do. You just contact these companies. I'll have a look to see, because, many times people have had judgments taken against them, they're not even aware of that. And particularly if you've had past judgments, you now settled, that judgment should be expunged. You need to check that with your credit rating, particularly if you've had judgments taken against you and you've now settled the creditor in full.
All right. Thanks for that, Brian. I think we can move on to the issue of trust.
Cathy, the reason I started that in December, the very last program, I had quite a few callers. A caller on radio asked me about credit score. And following that, while I was away, we had 31 emails from people asking how you go about checking your credit score. So that's important. The reason I want to talk about trust this morning, because it's another hot potato. I invariably get regular calls on a weekly basis. I'd say probably 9 to 10 asking, should they be putting a property? Should they be putting their investments in trusts? What should they be doing? Advised to form a trust. Forming a trust costs money. So let me just share with you. A trust is a legal structure where assets are held and managed by trustees for the benefit of chosen beneficiaries. And you may be one of those people. Use trust for several important financial and estate planning reasons. And here are some of the reasons. Firstly, protection of assets. Assets placed in the trust are protected from personal creditors, lawsuits against you, or even business. People always say, I'm not prepared to sign personally. But if you've got assets in the trust and you don't have assets in your own name, and you want to borrow money or do something in your own name, they will ask the trusts to please provide security. So that's the first, protection of assets, particularly against creditors. The second thing is estate planning continuity. Now, remember, trust ensures that your assets are firstly managed and distributed according to your wishes, which is also after that you have two components. You have a will, deals with deals with your assets. Any assets in the trust are dealt with differently. There are no delays or complications in winding up estates. Also, avoidance of probate details. I mean, assets in trust do not form part of your deceased estate. Therefore, estates can be wound up much quicker. If you've got minors can't inherit. So trust allows you to provide for children who maybe are disabled, family members, who beneficiaries who may not be financially responsible, appointing trustees to manage assets on their behalf. Tax could be a component. It's not the main reason, ever the main reason having a trust. But in some cases, trust can be used to plan or defer certain taxes. You can distribute. If you've got assets in your name, you pay the tax. You've got assets in your trust. You've got 3 children. You've got beneficiaries. That can be divided amongst all the beneficiaries, so you can. Preservation of family wealth is an important thing to help to keep assets in the family across generations, preventing them from being sold, divided intentionally. And I said, unlike a will, a will becomes a public document. Once your will is lodged, anyone can have sight of your will. raised. I'm going to maybe deal with questions that have come in, and then I'm going to deal. What are the pitfalls of a trust? Would you like me to do that now, Cathy?
I think what we can do, Brian, is that we can continue on this issue of trust, and then we'll group all the questions for the other side of the news
So let me share
headlines.
with you the pitfalls. Firstly, there's a cost of setting up training. There's a previous because registration costs, ongoing accounting fees, statements, tax return. Then trust must be managed correctly, and trustees have legal duties at meetings, solutions, you do. You personally lose control as transferred into the trust. They know you. People in Africa have been very lackadaisical about trust. They now run themselves. That's changed dramatically since we came off the grey list. There have been other legislation changes where it says your trustees have to make decisions, not you. Anything you want to do, you have to speak to your trustees. And if not, you're going to have problems. There have been disadvantages structured incorrectly because trusts are taxed at a higher rate. Trusts are taxed at 45%, and your rate may be a lot lower. Not planned carefully, but result in higher taxes. Often there's difficulty in assessing. I'll give you an example. I do have a trust. I wanted an account paid from my trust to someone in Australia. They refused to do it on the grounds that the payment I was asked them to do, the individual was not a beneficiary, and therefore they had to pay the money across to me, and I then had to pay it. So, also, potential of trustee conflict. If trustees disagree, decision making can become difficult. Poor choice of trustees, which I've seen many times, create family conflict. And then, most often, there's no automatic benefit if the trust is no real. Many trusts are just created in history. I come across in 10 discussions with new clients, 3 of them have got trusts and they've never put assets into the trust. So the asset estate or need trust expense structure with little advantage. And then, in simple terms, a trust can be powerful when there's a real need for protection. I mentioned protection planning or long-term family provision. And without that need, it can become costly, complicated, and restrictive. I've got notes on this, Cathy, and again, both in terms of credit ratings and trust. If anyone's like the documents, go on to, just let us know. Again, I'm mentioning www.bhca.co.za, and I will send you the notes I prepared for this morning's chat so that you go through and at your leisure and see what the situation is.
Brian, you touched on something that I would like you to please expand on, and that's around people being clear about the purpose of a trust and what it intends to do. So you will have scenarios of families, you'll have scenarios of organizations that, think that they want to put together a trust for whatever reason. What do you think are bad reasons for starting a trust?
Well, the first bad reason is that it's going to not, and the potential to every situation because you lose control. You've got to understand if you lose control, you hand over your assets to trustees. Your assets are protected. But if you want the trustees are responsible for making sure action you're taking is good. I've come across people who wanted to do business where the trustees weren't convinced that this was more of a speculative venture than an investment venture. they turn around to the individual and saying, no, I'm sorry, we don't agree with it, we don't like it, we've done the evaluation. Time. I mean, your trustees aren't sitting there waiting for you on a daily basis to come back to them. You have to go back to them. They may take time to have a meeting to determine whether the action you plan to take. So those are the two main reasons. And then the third one is cost. Don't fall into the trap that the trust doesn't cost money. The advantage of the trust is simple. It really is simple. The advantage is to protect children. Children under 18 can't inherit. And there are two different types of trusts. There's a testamentary trust, an intervening trust. You create the trust today and you transfer assets into the trust. And there's a testamentary trust where on your death, in your will, you request an asset transfer, particularly when children are beneficiaries. Firstly, I don't think anyone wants a child children under the age of 18 can't inherit. And I know people want children at age 18 to inherit. All these matriculants now who have now going on the next career, what parent wants a child to suddenly receive $500,000 or $1 million or $2 million when they've got to now register and decide what they're going to do for the rest of their life? So it's protection of children, protection from themselves. I think estate planning does come into it. In South Africa, we do pay death duties, and it is a way where you can reduce your estate, but again, only at a certain level. Then if you're going into business, you want to protect assets, a home. If you're married in community of property, remember, in community of property, both spouses are responsible for the debts and the assets. But if you want to protect assets, then you can use a trust that outside of your name when you go into business. And this is not a scam. You're not trying to do it because you're in trouble. You're doing it because you want your assets separate from your business assets. So if something does go wrong, in all genuineness, they can't attack your trust.
Okay. We're going to then continue this conversation with Brian, and I'll be taking your questions for Brian on the issue of trust. What questions do you have around setting up a trust, around managing a trust that you would like Brian to answer for you? The number to dial 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. It's time for the latest news headlines.
Thank you, Cathy. On the news headlines on SAFM, I am Onde Lambana, and a very good morning. Chairperson of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Jim Risch, says South Africa's actions signal open hostility towards America. He was reacting to the BRICS military drills off South Africa's coast. KwaZulu-Natal Premier Taminduli will today lead the province's release of the 2025 National Senior Certificate results in Durban. The province recorded the highest pass rate, ending the Free State's dominance as the country's top-performing province. And the Eastern Cape says it will conduct a detailed analysis to identify areas that need intervention in education. The province is the worst performer in the matric class of 2025 after achieving an 84% pass rate. Update follows at the top of the hour.
Taking a look at your markets this morning, the rand is currently trading at 16 rand 42 to the dollar, 22 rand 11 to the pound, and 19 rand 15 to the euro. Markets in Asia were mixed at the closing bell. The JSE is mainly lower during mid-morning trade. Markets in Europe are higher this hour. Gold is trading at $4,582, platinum $2,321 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $64.31 a barrel.
Are we ready for a real conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. As we celebrate 90 years of existence, SAFM takes you back to the voices that shaped a nation.
Now leave the SABC and see the tower block lit up, 27 stories of light. Move from Auckland Park into the shadow of the Hillbrow Post Office Tower.
This is the English service of the SABC. Here is the news, read by Patricia Carr. A member of the Planning Committee of the President's Council, Mr. Nick Tuernicht, has been appointed chairman of the Council's Community Relations Community.
90 years of trusted voices. This is SAFM.
Talking Finance with Brian Hirsch, making sense of your finance.
All right, we continue the conversation with Brian Hirsch. We're talking about trust this morning, and Brian is really putting some important issues on the table for us to consider, especially if you're thinking about setting up a trust. Brian, before I bring in the questions, and remember, you can also dial in on 086 000 2032. That's to ask Brian questions at 086 000 2032. And on the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. The one issue, Brian, that I don't think that we touched on was around the trustees and the people that are nominated as trustees of the trust. Usually, people will, of course, rightfully want to put others that they trust and that they know will act in their best interest. But what are the kind of competencies that one should really be thinking about when it comes to who they nominate as their trustees?
Yeah, well, look, going back over the years, people have nominated friends and family members, and they haven't even, they're trustees in name, but they're not trustees in action. They don't actually take on. Understand, trustee has a legal liability to all beneficiaries. I'm saying I've got a situation at the moment where a trust was formed many years ago. It's now third generation. The beneficiaries, the children, the great grandchildren beneficiaries now questioning the trustees of actions they took on behalf of one of the beneficiaries, one of the parents, and they are now questioning why these actions are taken. And trustees have a legal responsibility to apply their minds, to be independent, and they have legal responsibility to beneficiaries. That's how trusts operate internationally, other than South Africa. South Africans just formed trusts with every friends and anyone and anything they wanted to do. They signed it. They gave it. They even did a resolution. Say trust wants to buy property. The individual who was buying the property didn't even consult the other trustees. They bought the property. They may have bought it in the trust name. They then got everyone to sign all the documents. No one applied their mind. Could they afford the property, etc., the bond payments, and all the things? What area were they buying in? And all these things. So trustees need to be responsible people, understanding they have legal liability and no longer carry on running trusts as South Africans have run them for the last 50 years. It's changed since we came off the grey list today. The trustee now has to apply their minds, have to be satisfied any money being paid over to a beneficiary or the founder of the trust, which is the person who established the trust. When they ask for money, what are they doing with that money to make sure there's no money laundering? There's a whole lot of documents. I understand the choice of a trustee is important. You can have a family member as a second trustee. Always advise it's good to have three trustees so there's no deadlock. If there are two trustees, one could agree, one could disagree. I've got that situation at the moment where there's deadlock in a particular trust. So you always have a third trustee, and it's always good to have an independent trustee. I think it's now becoming more of a requirement that there's an independent trustee see apply their minds, not just rubber stamp decisions. Those are the words that you use. Who started the trust? Who injected assets into the trust? It would have been that individual, the settler or the founder, which is the individual who put the money in the trust. It becomes the responsibility of trustees. So if you put money into a trust, or assets in trust, understand if you lose control, the control rests with trustees. So you need to pick someone who's responsible and not someone who's just going to rubber stamp and tick every decision.
All right. Brian, I'm going to start off with the WhatsApp questions that we have received on the issue of trust. So I'll play the voice note and then you can respond straight after.
Good morning. It's just one question I want to know. So if you want to open a trust or getting a trust, and you put your house in the trust. So if you say the house belongs to your mother. She's still owing the bank, say, let's take 400. Now she put that house in a trust for the kids, for afterwards something happens. Now, if she passed away, what's going to happen to that house in that trust now? Is he, is the bank still going to sell the house to get the money back from the house if he can't buy the house over or pay the attorneys to put the house over to their names? Or what's going to happen to that now?
To understand one question, if you put a house into the trust owns the. Oh, is that
Yes, Brian, it's a WhatsApp voice note question.
okay?
Yeah, go
Okay, so let
ahead.
me say this to you.
Mm.
If you put the trust into the property, sorry, the property into the trust owns that property, and the trust would be would have the bond. So in the event of the mother dying, the trust continues. Not wound up like a will. The trust owns the property, still has the bond. The trust is standing surety for that bond. As long as repayments are continuing, there won't be a problem. Children, if the children are then going to inherit the property, it comes out of the trust, and then see, there's three children, and two of them want to keep the property and one doesn't. Big argument. How are you going to pay out it? How are you going to pay out the third child? And how are you going to value the property? Because remember, buyer and a seller. The seller wants a good price, the buyer wants a better price. So negotiation. So putting a property in a trust, other than protecting assets, the right way to do it is not put property in a trust. Rather, in the will, you leave the assets to the children. If they're minor children, then it goes into what we call a testamentary trust. Then, in terms of that testamentary trust, which is actually formed by the executor of the estate, there will be determination of at what stage will that property be sold, what will happen to the rental income. Of course, you've got to cover the bond and all other expenses. So there's a lot of things that's got to be determined before you start putting a property into a trust. But it's into the trust and on death, Kathy?
All right. Thanks for that, Brian. We're still going to bring you more voice notes.
Good morning, Cathy and Brian and listeners, and welcome back, Cathy and Brian. I have a question for Brian. Many years ago, many years ago, I bought a property and I paid it off many years ago as well. Unfortunately, I didn't realize the importance of a transfer deed. And when I tried to get it now, although I paid it off many years ago, the bank now requires me to pay 5,000 something to get the transfer deed. I just want to know if that is legal, if it's correct, because I paid off the debt. Why should I pay to get the transfer deed? Please advise me, Brian, if that is the normal procedure.
Okay, so let me explain to you. If you, and I always say to people, if you pay off the property, you can still keep the property open for a facility you may need in later. Is more calling cancellation. So to cancel the bond now, you want to cancel the bond and we're charging you a cancellation. I don't know if that's normal. And if you don't mind, to deal with it next week, because I'm going to check with the various banks what is their processes. I think it's charge for that 5,000 rand. I'm going to check with just to get cancellation. Please allow me to report back.
Morning, Kevin. Just listen, Gianni. I just want to ask Brian, when we talk about the trust document, does it require an established theme or a group of people or just a document? Thank you.
No, it's a legal document to be registered with the master. There's it has to be done legally. There's again, as I said, there's a cost involved in all of that. It's not just a document. It's a document that is recorded and recorded with the master's office. And that means if you ever want to change a trustee, you have to first get the original one of the trustees, or if they die, you have to give the master all the information before appointing a new trustee.
Brian, James in Limpopo wants to know, how can one end a trust which has one property fully paid up in it and no further assets?
Well, you can. You can deregister the trust. The trust costs very in mind now two things about property. First thing is you're now going to transfer the property to someone else. Transfer fees are payable. And secondly, you've got a property in the trust pass away, the there's no capital gains tax paid until the property is sold, but the individual then does not get the advantage of the 2 million rand rebate. So, as you know, with any assets, if there's a gain, particularly bought a property, 500,000, sell it at 3 million, the first 2 million of that gain is not subject to capital gains tax. From 500 to 2.5 million, no capital gains. 2.5 to 3 million capital gains tax. 40% of that 500 will then be added to income. So if your gain is less than 2 million, the property, no transfer fees. Higher than 2 million gain, 2 million. I trust you do not get that 2 million. I'm never in favour of, and very rarely, only in unique circumstances, should you buy property in the trust.
Yeah, so Brian, for this individual, right? Would you recommend transferring that property out of the trust, given the costs that are associated with it?
Well, one would need to understand the circumstances of
Yeah,
every
yeah.
and why. Everyone's different. So I've given what I would call a tabletop bit of advice, but obviously everyone's different. Individual wants to please contact us. I'll give it again. It's www.bhca.co.za.
Let me go to Anonymous in KZN. Good morning, Anonymous.
Good morning, Cathy.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
are you?
Well, thank you.
Yes, compliment of the new year. Cathy, I'm anonymous in KZN. I have an issue here with regards to shares. I bought shares in 2020 from a company called Agility by Dr. Mangalam. He operates this company via social media, so I got to know them via Facebook.
Right.
Are you still listening, Cathy?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
Yes, yes. So in 2023, I got this that I was being scammed and that the company is not legit. So I told them I want to cancel. I want a refund. I mean, it was due to a lot of things. Where when you try to call them, you couldn't get hold of them, and eventually get hold of them. His staff is rude to you, and I received no share certificate. And apparently later I found out that you had to pay a certain amount of money to receive the share. So all of that made me want to cancel. So, and then I told them that I want a refund, and then they replied to me, they said there's no refund for share. There's no refund for share. So, but when you were dealing with them, it's either you found them or they are rude. So in 2025, because I just let it go in 2023, 2025 early last year, I called them again. I said I want a refund of my money. So they said no. They replied again. They said no refund, no refund. And then they instructed the and they tried to get a buyer. So I kept on asking them. And then on the 15th of March, I asked them again, and they said to me they have received a buyer for me. They said the buyer paid 21,500 for my share. That is two payments, 10,000 rand and 11,000. I said okay. I noted that, but after a while, I saw that I only received 10,000 rand. So the 11,500 I did not receive, but they told me initially that they had actually spent the money for me.
And
That's how
Anonymous,
big this
how
is.
much did you buy the shares for?
100,000.
Yo.
100,000 rand. And so this 10,000 rand I received, right, in March. So the 11,500, they said to me, I actually have the reports on WhatsApp. They said they gave money.
Is
So
it
when I
because the
went back
share
to,
value had dropped that much?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Kathy,
Brian?
can I come in here?
Yes, please go ahead.
Look, Anonymous, when you buy shares in a private company, the dangers are first, easy to buy and difficult to sell because there's never buyers. Secondly, who value, when you buy shares in the market, there's a market value. You buy standard, buy discount, buy pick, there's a market price, there's a buyer and a seller. Sometimes difficult to find the seller. It even gets harder when it's a private company. Here you're talking to people who really have no interest in your share. They can't. I'm actually surprised whoever this company is actually find the buyer. I can tell you, because all I'm going to deal with is the principle, and then I'm going to suggest you go to my website. Please, to our website and send me the query. Ask me details. Not promising. I've certainly got a lot more influence through my programs and my ability to find out what is going on, why you haven't been paid, why you've got 10 and not 21. The reason why, obviously, the company someone valued the company, how they're going to value your shares was issue. But the danger was, if you're going to buy into a private company, remember to get out of that company. We're easy to get in. Everyone wants to get in. No one wants to buy when you want to get out of this. So the company is a very successful. I mean, I go back in time, listed companies, private companies to start with. People those private companies and at the mercy of a buyer to sell their shares. They list now they sell their shares to the market. So I'm just sharing for everyone, please, if you're going to buy into a private company, carefully about it. Understand not what you're paying. Understand it. Ask the question. If I want to sell, how do I go about selling? Ask all the details before you list any private. But having said that to you, please go onto our website and send me. I'll then find out from you. I want more documentation. I'll let you know what I want, and I'll see. The fact that you got paid out 10,000 appears to me to say the company's still going. The fact that the values dropped so dramatically, ask them why, what was their business intention, the fact that you didn't get the other 11,500.
Okay. Sorry, Brian, to disturb you, but they actually said to me they have sent me the money. So the money is, they've already paid it to my account. That's what they said.
Find out these details. I'll other documentation. You must have the 10,000 that came in. Bank. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
There must be a reference in your receipt of that money. So we've got a trail. Okay, I'll try my best.
Okay. All right. All right,
Okay, the other
Anonymous.
thing,
Yep.
sorry, Kat, I just wanted to mention this, that they let us say that the company, actually, the owner of the company has approved for the company to buy my share. And they said they're waiting for the board. And then on the 21st of August, the board approved for them to buy my share.
That's an offer. An offer and acceptance is a contract. You offered your shares, they agreed to buy the contract. By the way, it doesn't mean it's in writing, it can be verbal. Offer a lot more. But people need to realize contract, verbal contract, so then the property, the sale of property is binding on both parties. You obviously have a binding contract. Well, let me have a look at that. Anonymous, you need to, when you send the note, you'll need to put radio anonymous and then obviously your full name. You can't deal with anonymous.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that, Brian. Anonymous, you'll get in touch with Brian and all the best Brian, I'm wondering if we don't need to do something a bit more extensive, or have a show that is focused just on buying shares, and how people should be going about it. Because as you can hear, Anonymous obviously worked very hard for that money, 100,000 rand. Her expectation was that today she'd be sitting with a lot more than what she invested. And now she's actually, sitting with an incredible loss out of that investment decision.
Yeah, look, even a listed company. I'll give you one example. Aspen, which is a pharmaceutical company. Aspen, some years ago, their share price before it's now lower, so people could have put in 400,000 worth of 100. At least there's the buyer market. Big private and public companies. So I think it's a great idea. I'll put something together 2 weeks' time. We'll deal with that to warn people, because so many people phone me about monies in private companies. They can't trace. They don't know what to do. They can't get their money, and I don't get. I can write to a public company and get a response. Company wants me. They're not beholden to me. You have to go to the company. You have to go to the accountants. Okay.
Okay. All right, Brian. Let me go to Mr. Padayachi in KZN. Good morning.
Hi, good day to you, Brian, and greetings to you for the new year. And thank you for you too, Cathy, and thank you for your program. Brian, I have two questions, and I'll probably listen on the radio. First one being that I've come into some money and I want to pass both to my and I'm trying to find out what's the tax implications and how to do that.
Yep.
And the other one is, what's your opinion on the 50 trust policies that are being sold, legacy, in terms of your wills upon death?
Okay.
Thank you. Those are the two
Okay.
things.
Okay. Right. Let me answer the first question. You're entitled to give each of your children 50. You're entitled to give them 50,000 rand. Sorry, 100,000 rand a year, without paying any donations. The money could be invested in a tax-free saving. You're allowed 36,000 rand a year tax-free savings. The benefit of that, there's no tax in the fund. All other funds that you invest in, there are taxes. You pay dividends tax, you pay CG taxes. If there's any interest earned, there's tax. So, entitled to 100,000 rand a year for each spouse. You're entitled to provide your spouse money, which is not subject to donations. So if your funds more than 100, say it's 200, you can each give the children 100,000. You can each give the children 36,000 rand tax-free savings. That's a way of investing the money for them. And you can, depending on the age of the children and how long you want that money to be invested for, that's an important call. That will determine your investment strategy. Short term, you want no risk, you want certainty and security. For long term, you're looking for growth. So anything above that, actually loan them the money into investments. You can write off again each year going forward 100,000 rand maximum per year, and again with spouses 200,000. That will reduce your value of your estate. Save. Good question. I'm giving you a simple answer, but obviously depending on your personal circumstances. If you want to see details, please feel free to do that. www.phca.co.za, and we'll be able to answer your question and give you a lot more detail. But that's the way to do it. Everyone's entitled to pay 100,000 rand in this tax year. You have 100,000 in this tax year, payable by the 28th of February, and you give another 100,000 March, and so you've got quite a lot of leeway between now and tax year ending 2027.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for that. Before we let you go, please share your number with us, and of course, how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, well, the best way to get hold of me is through my website, www.bhc.co.za. or they can call 011 880 I'm very proud of myself, and I've come back from holiday. I even remember that number 011 880 Cathy, look forward to seeing the team in the studio next week. Forgive me for not being here today. I promise you I'm not sitting on the beach. I'm in my office.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for coming on. And of course, thank you to all of our listeners for all those important questions that they had for Brian. I am seeing some questions that we didn't get a chance to attend to. We will forward those to Brian so that he can just have a look at them and maybe we can pick up last week, including the requests for recommendations in terms of websites that he would recommend for people to check their credit scores. We'll definitely share that with Brian, and he'll give us a response when he comes back on the show next week, Tuesday. On that note, it is 11 o'clock. It's time for your latest news update.
Thank you, Cathy. On the top stories, chairperson of U.S. Senate directs to BRICS military drills off South Africa's coast and fires in Gouga remain under control. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana and a very good morning. Chairperson of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Jim Risch, says South Africa's actions signal open hostility towards America. He was reacting to the BRICS military drills off South Africa's coast. The Republican senator from Idaho says President Donald Trump is right to treat South Africa's government as an adversary of the U.S., showing Bryce Pease reports.
Risch called for the United States to take stronger action against the South African government, saying in a post on X that their foreign policy hid behind a claim of non-alignment amid military drills with America's chief adversaries. The exercises are said to be geared towards demonstrating cooperation between BRICS nations and ensuring the safety of shipping lanes and maritime economic activities. Risch's statement came after Iran withdrew from participating in the Navy drills at the request of South Africa in an effort to avoid exacerbating an already tenuous diplomatic relationship with Washington. Sherman Riceby's SABC News, New York.
KwaZulu-Natal Premier Tami Ntuli will today lead the province's release of the 2025 National Senior Certificate results in Durban. The province recorded the highest pass rate, ending the Free State's dominance as the country's top-performing province. KwaZulu-Natal recorded a 90.6% pass rate with more than 80,000 bachelor passes. One of the province's top achievers, Dia Hagon, is from Star College in Durban.
So glad. I expected nothing less of myself. I don't think there was a set method to it. I just took it as if it was another year. It was definitely a bit of a roller coaster year, but I just stayed calm, stayed disciplined, motivated, and consistent. And that was my recipe for success.
Meanwhile, the Eastern Cape says it will conduct a detailed analysis to identify areas that need intervention in education. The province is the worst performer in the matric class of 2025 after achieving an 84% pass rate. Premier Oscar Mabuyane is concerned.
We note not understand where period is the to yeah.
Hundreds of frustrated parents and guardians have started queuing outside the district office of the Gauteng Education Department in Morningside, Johannesburg. They are seeking school placement for their children. The parents and guardians say that the department's online application system is not serving its purpose. Over 4,000 learners are yet to be placed in Gauteng schools. These parents say they applied last year.
So I came here yesterday. I think they didn't know what was going on. I think they were still waiting for instructions somewhere. And then today we are here again, and hopefully we'll get an answer or direction as to. And at around 4:45. So yeah, the other lady here says they came at 2:00. They were here.
So my child is going to grade 8. So I applied on the first day when the system was operation. And since to date, the status on my applications hasn't changed. It has always been remaining on application has been processed. So I'm feeling like a irresponsible parent because the first question that my child asks every day is that, have you secured the space for me?
The fires in the Gouga region of the Eastern Cape remain under control. 40 firefighters were dispatched on Oyster Bay area where they managed a fire and prevented it from spreading. The Gouga Mayor Hatting Bornman says any hotspots in the Gabelios area will also be doused. Calm winds are predicted for the day. Recapping the top story, chairperson of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Jim Risch, says South Africa's actions signal open hostility to America. I'm on Delambana for SFM News. The headlines at 11:30.
If we have rights, shouldn't we also have opinions? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
It's a space where generations come together in conversation that seek to spark curiosity, inspire innovation, and feed the curious mind. For arts, culture, and robust conversations, join me every weekday between 1 and 3 p.m. on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga as we explore the stories, lessons, and conversations that guide us back to self.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
Should South Africa, in terms of your point about looking at things internally, what should we accelerate internally to fix anyway, so that whichever accusations come from wherever, it will be a blunt accusation?
I think we need to stop getting sucked into these arguments. It's part of the Trump strategy. You know, you flood the zone with absurdities, and we spend all of our time defending against nonsense like this, absurdities like this. And then there's a second aspect which I think our government is failing in rather badly is, and I know I'll get into trouble for saying this, but they need to sit down and start talking to AfriForum for Solidarity.
Andre Flock is a conflict resolution expert.
The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday. Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Cathy Mohlahlana, thank you very much for clarifying this issue. The kids are nowhere to be blamed on this issue. What kind of society are we that criticize the kids who didn't come up with the curriculum? They've got absolutely nothing to do with this. Their effort of Cathy has been criticized like this. It's can only be defined as stupidity. Staton Kafu from Flagstaff.
Good morning, Cathy and the listeners. Look, I think you're 100% correct, Cathy. And I really fully support you with regard to the issue of not criticizing those who have passed legitimately so. It is not their fault, because we can also go back to that one to education and then criticize those who have passed legitimately so. It cannot be right, it cannot be condoned, it is completely out of order. And I think that those who have passed, we congratulate them, irrespective of 33% or 100% or 110%, doesn't matter. What matters most, it is the pass. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Cathy. Cathy, I know by next week results and that you're already over it, will be over. But what my point is, I want to talk about the subject like life orientation. I wonder whether we're really achieving what we meant to do with it, because I still see matriculants coming with like level 1 in matric exams in mathematics and certain subjects, physical science and etc. Now to reach matric and to get a level 1, obviously these children are misdirected in this subject choice of subject. So I wonder if that really, anyone, if that resonates with you. So maybe we need to talk about that. Thank you.
Good morning, Australian listeners. The people we must blame are the politicians coming up all policies. That's why we must do away
give them meetings on our behalf. There must be a public consultation. We must put in all those policies before you can come here start to blame the learners.
Good morning, Kathy, and good morning to SAFM listeners. Kathy, oh, uyibeke yacaca mhlophe okweqadi ehlongweni sisi wami. Abantwana abenza ngani? Abantwana abaqinanga system. Abantwana basebenze kwi-system ebekiweyo. I hope and I wish those who are criticizing these grade 12 learners, they can come back and apologize to the students. Those children worked hard the whole year with the system. They didn't put any system. You are right. Let's go back and check the system and the police and try to make it happen. Honorable Makola Kubana, welcome too. Thank you.
Three-time champions, the Super Eagles, mean business while searching for their fourth title. But the Atlas Lions are confident red and green will dominate green and white. This is the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. Witness the semi-final meeting between Nigeria and Morocco this Wednesday, 14 January at 9:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus, SABC 2 and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Then on SABC radio stations at 10 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2025. It's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
As we celebrate 90 years of existence, SAFM takes you back to the voices that shaped a nation.
Now leave the SABC and see the tower block lit up, 27 stories of light. Move from Auckland Park into the shadow of the Hillbrow Post Office Tower.
This is the English service of the SABC. Here is the news read by Patricia Carr. A member of the Planning Committee of the President's Council, Mr. Nick Koenicht, has been appointed chairman of the Council's Community Relations Community.
90 years of trusted voices. This is SAFM.
Hashtag SAFM Talking Point.
All right, it's 11 after 11 o'clock. Welcome to the third and final hour of the Talking Point. We are going to stay with the matric results, and we're going to be focusing on some of those that wrote and that sat down and wrote the IEB exams. Later on SAFM, you, of course, will also be hearing from matric learners who wrote the National Senior Certificate. Many of them are currently busy with, awards and functions that are playing out this morning. You can imagine if you are in matric and you have done well, it is a very, very busy morning for you. So they've managed to take some time out of their newfound fame, because this is what happens when you do well. You become famous and everybody wants to talk to you. They want to find out about your journey. And they've come to the studio here in Auckland Park. Of course, we also have very proud parents, right? Because the matric pass rate is not yours. Hey, Neha, Mantwese, I hate to break it to you. It's not yours. It's actually your dad's, Neha, and it's your mom's, So they just won't tell you that publicly. But as you can tell, the cameras are on here in the studio. So very, very proud parents. Let me introduce them to you. Neha Sunaren is from Redham House, Bedford View. And Neha, you got 7 distinctions. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, how does it feel?
It honestly feels insane. It actually feels surreal. I can't believe it.
I must say though, Neha, when I look at you, I would probably think that you're just starting out in high school. I would think that you're just like getting into grade 8.
A lot of people say that, surprisingly.
So they're right when they say dynamite comes in small packages, eh?
Just a bit.
Just a little bit. Mantwese, You are from Rodin School for Girls, and you have received 6 distinctions. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, positive, happy, proud of myself. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about this journey and what the journey has entailed. In fact, before we do that, we've got another learner that's joining us on the line, and she's from the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. That's OILAG. Ash Benjamin. Ash, good morning to you.
Morning.
How are you doing, Ash?
I'm good, thank you, Paul.
Wow, congratulations. I understand that
Thank
you've received
you.
7 distinctions.
I did.
Did you get any rest, any sleep yesterday? When did you get your results?
I got them yesterday.
And did you sleep at all?
I did sleep. I
I don't
did.
I don't believe you. I feel like you were texting with everybody and making sure that everybody understands exactly how well you've done.
Such a kind of
Yeah.
who knows the whole, but walking around in the streets and people knowing my name and my face and telling me how much I got is quite, hmm, I
So,
don't know what to say.
so you're understated. You're taking your wins, and those who need to know, well, they know.
Yeah. And
I
turns out everyone needs them now, apparently.
Now you're on national radio now, Ash, so you are absolutely famous. I'm going to ask you to hang 10. Of course, you're very much part of the conversation. Whenever you want to add anything, just shout, and I'll be sure to give you a chance. I'm going to come back
Okay,
to
no problem.
I'm going to come back to studio and start with the ladies in studio. So I want to speak just more broadly about coming into a matric year. You know what?
Sorry, you got it
You
properly.
can't hear me properly. All right, I'm going to
I
ask the
can't.
producers to try and work on that. Please, let's just, yeah, let's try and make sure that we work on Ash's connection. So coming into the matric year, um, is never easy, but it feels like the pressure just grows and grows, right, as the year unfolds. What was your state of mind as the year began? And Mantwes, I'll begin with you. What were you telling yourself at the beginning of 2025, knowing just what an important and significant year this was going to be for you?
I think I definitely knew how much pressure it was to be in matric and how much pressure I would probably feel.
Mm.
And so I just had to remind myself to stay calm at all times. And I went into the year 2025 with two goals. It was balance and effort. And I just wanted to maintain a balance between my sports, my academics, my relationships, and just my rest time. And so that's really what I focused on, and I made sure that I put effort into everything that I did. I do know that, well, I felt the pressure building up when we were approaching prelims. That was when pressure was at a high, but I had to remind myself to stay calm and to think about my past years and how I've gotten through those years,
Mm.
and just to remind myself that it always is fine at the end of the day. And going into finals, I was like, okay, I was nervous for prelims, but it's fine. It went fine, so you'll be fine for finals. You have more time. You can study. You have the support from everyone, and everyone's backing you. So yeah.
I'm looking at your blazer, Mantwese, and I can tell, it's peppered, it's littered, both on the left and the right. Now, that signals your achievements, obviously, at school, and clearly there's quite a lot that you have going on and that you're excelling in. How do you maintain balance?
I think um just sport has always been a big part of me. That's how I stay sane, how I function at an optimal level. I think I wouldn't be able to achieve what I could achieve without my tennis. So even during finals, I was practicing every single day. It was my break from the books. My coaches were always supporting me at Real Athletes Tennis Academy in Bedford View. And yeah, so, and sometimes those those sports can be stressful. So I would also go ice skate because there's no pressure there. There's just fun. And yeah, so I would ice skate. And it's just a way to clear my mind, to reset, and to make sure that I do have time to myself to think instead of just always being concerned with the books because I would go insane, truly.
How much do you think that the support that you had from your mom and your family, how much of a role do you think that that played? Because sometimes matric exams, you're talking prelims, you're talking finals. Some parents don't want to see their children doing anything else but studying. They're like, tennis, this is not the time for tennis. You must focus on your books and your books only. So, how are you guys having the conversations in the family? And I want you to answer mindful of the fact that there are other young people who are in the matric this year, you know. Some of them might be listening to the conversation, and these are the things that they're going to have to navigate with their parents as well.
I think going into matric, you have to figure out what works for you. And I know what works for me is playing tennis and taking time off from the books. And so my mom has always been there supporting me, but most importantly, she's given me the freedom to do what I need to do to achieve what I can. And she has fully trusted me to be able to achieve those goals that I want to achieve. She just wants me to do my best, and she always just says that that is enough. And so she was like, some days she'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you're going to tennis? Are you sure?" But it wasn't like, "No, you have to stay home." And it was just like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm sure." She's like, "Okay, whatever you say." It's good. And as long as you are happy, as long as you're doing well mentally, physically, and yeah, and reaching your goals. So
I can tell why mom is so proud. Hey, mom, you've done a good job.
yes.
You've done a very good job. Neha, tell me about your experience coming into the year. What was the frame of mind that you were in? What were you telling yourself?
So coming into this year, I knew it was going to be a balance of stress and a bit of fun because um this year I had the opportunity of organizing a lot of the orientation for the grade 8s and a lot of the matric events. And people forget that while it's such a stressful year and there's prelims and finals and tests and you have to get ready for them, it's the last time that you're going to be with your friends before you go.
Yeah.
It's your last year that you have time to be like a kid, kind of. So besides all the stressful finals, I was kind of hoping for more of a fun year. But also in that sense, I think it's very important in who you surround yourself with. Because thankfully, my friends, they shout out to them, they were very balanced between fun and actual studying.
Yeah.
All of them did incredibly well this year, and I'm really proud of all of them. But I think it's very important to have that balance between the two. Otherwise, you kind of get burnt out too early, or you're like, this is too much studying. Because after you have June exams, then you have prelims, then you have finals. There's no break. It's just studying.
But also organizing events at school it's quite hard. And it takes a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, a lot of your effort, and it's incredibly stressful as well. So, how did you navigate the stress of what you had committed yourself to doing and still manage to get 7 distinctions?
So that was a bit of a tricky part. So in that sense, all of it pretty much comes down to time management. You have to plan when you're gonna do what. Um, as you said, your outlet was sports. Mine was I have a habit of saying, "Do you want to do this?" Yes, I'm in. At some point, it needs to stop. At some point, you need to say, "No, I don't have time." But I have the habit of saying, "Yes, I'm in." So during my matric year, my school had a lot of opportunities to do. So I had debating to do. I was the head girl of the school. So like there was a lot going on, and I was in public speaking. So in that sense, I had a lot of things to do that were not study based.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of work, but it kind of diverted away from the studies. So it was like working a different area of my brain, which was kind of nice to do. And debating was something very nice to do because it's somewhere to get your stress out.
Yeah.
I can go there and be like, this is my point. This is what I say.
I
So,
rebut.
yes, I refuse.
So, was there a point where your parents were watching you and they're like, Neha, as dad, like, Neha, I'm not sure. Neha, you're writing maths tomorrow, you're writing science next week.
Oh, trust me, Dad was a little bit concerned. He was a little bit concerned. He was like, "You're organizing another event now." But at the end of the day, they always came back to support me. They were always
Yeah.
driving me to and from places because it
Yeah.
never ends.
Yeah.
It never ends. Driving me to this place, dropping me off at school at 6 o'clock in the morning.
You see, I told you, this is their matric certificate. It's not yours, eh?
It really is
All
theirs.
of those ups and downs, all of those ups and downs. Ashley, let me come to you, because you also have done incredibly well, and I know that at OLAG, you guys also have a very, very strict curriculum, and there's just a culture that the school embraces to try and build all aspects of your lives as young women that must go into the world and be successful. So when you went into it, Ash, what were you telling yourself? What did you want to accomplish by the time you got to the end of the year, or by the time you got to today when you know what your results are?
Honestly speaking, between after prelims and right now, my goal was just stay alive, do my best, and leave everything else to God. Because there's only so much I can do. So, yeah, honestly, it was just putting myself first above everything, including books. And just trying to get to it and do my best. And if my best is not enough, at least I know that I gave my best. And turns out my best was enough. Yay.
Ashley, I can hardly think of 7 distinctions as survival mode. I'm sure there's a lot more that that you are putting into it, eh?
Personally, I feel like what went into most of my schoolwork was the love that I have for my subject. Because I don't think I'd get there if I did not love what I did and the people who helped me reach or rather learn what I did. First and foremost, my teachers. Wow, I had the most amazing set of teachers. They just wow. They were just wow. They made me fall in love with their subject. It was just a beautiful experience in that way. So for me, it wasn't a matter of hard work. I very much refrained from the hard work aspect of things. It was just a matter of me doing what I love because everything that I did at school was something I love. So there wasn't that pressure of well, it was just for me. I have to broaden my general knowledge of it. So yeah, that's how I looked at it.
I actually like that approach, Ashley, because you put your passion in the right thing, and therefore it doesn't feel like it's that much work, and it's like, I have to go study. Dreadful, dreadful. But if you're actually enjoying it and you see value in it, you're going to keep going back to it. Let me also welcome onto the show Tassin Chothia, who is from Libone College, of the Royal Bafokeng. Tassin, good morning to you.
Good morning to you too.
And congratulations to you. 6 distinctions, girl.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really relieved, but also shocked because IB papers were not easy. So I lowered my expectations, but I exceeded them now.
So I must tell you that your campus out in Rustenburg is one of my favorite campuses in our country. I think it's such a beautiful space to be able to sit and study, and it's so serene and absolutely lovely. So I always think that if you go to Libano College, you don't have an excuse. You must pass and you must get 6 distinctions.
Yes, definitely. I won't lie. Our campus is really beautiful and I'm extremely grateful. I started in grade one and I finished it and I wouldn't choose any other place to have done my entire high school.
Lovely. So tell me a little bit about your frame of mind going into the year. What did you want to achieve for yourself?
So I did reset really high expectations for myself. Knew that I was always academic achiever and I wanted my matric results to show. But I won't lie, when it came to prelims, I realized this is not easy. I had to put in the effort. I survived and I made it.
When you look back at it, what do you think made prelims so jarring and just what do you think makes it such a wake up call? Because Mantwese rather also spoke about the prelims and just the anxiety of prelims. What makes them so nerve wracking?
So for me, what made it really nerve-wracking was when we wrote our June exams. In most subjects, we still didn't finish our entire curriculum. So our June exams we never study the entire year as well. So for prelim, full on, you have to study every single thing we've learned from grade 11 till up until that point. And I think that really hit the workload and the amount I have to.
Do you want to add to that, Neha? Prelims? How did you find prelims?
I think prelims were definitely the most stressful. I think finals was kind of more relaxed. And you think finals, oh no, it's finals.
Yeah.
But I think everyone faces prelims first. And it's the first time I agree what you said. The workload is so much because it's everything you've done and it just adds on. For certain subjects, it's 11 and 12. For like English and Afrikaans and Zulu and math, it's like your whole career, all of it in one test. And at that point, it's kind of nerve wracking to see all of that there.
And the results from prelims are not always knocking the lights out, right? So they do give you a bit of a shock because you're like, what is this? How did I end up with this mark? Did you feel that way, Mantwese? Were there
Yes.
subjects where you were disappointed with your results?
Yes, definitely. But as I said before, like I just knew that it would always be fine in the end.
Yeah.
And I know for finals you have a lot more time. Well, for our school you have a bit more time in between each exam. So I was like, okay, just try to stay optimistic and keep working, and still had the support from many teachers at
Yeah.
Rodin.
Yeah.
Yeah, my tutor, my English tutor, also I started tutoring English after prelims, and because that's how bad it went. and she picked me up and she was like, it's gonna be okay, we're gonna get you to improve for your finals. And yeah, so yeah.
We're going to continue with these young ladies and we'll be focusing on what the future looks like for them. What are their dreams? What are their hopes and aspirations? And maybe we'll get mom and dad to stop recording it. They're live recording for the family chat groups. They're sending to grandmas and grandpas and saying, look at what we have done. Look at what we have accomplished. So we'll take the latest news headlines and then we'll continue with celebrating the achievements of the class of 2025.
Thank you, Cathy. On the news headlines, Deputy President Paul Mashatile has highlighted the importance of young people to the country's development. His statement follows the release of results for the 2025 matric. Some learners have expressed frustration over their failure to get placements as the 2026 academic year kicks off tomorrow. And chairperson of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Jim Risch, says South Africa's actions signal open hostility towards America. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
The River Islanders believe the second half of the season is more demanding as they chase a win. But the Eagles have a master plan to prevail. This is the Bundesliga, football as it's meant to be. Do not miss out on SV Werder Bremen versus Eintracht Frankfurt on Friday, 16 January at 9:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4 and SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
What if your child could achieve better academic results in 2026? At Teneo School, they can. Our smart school system tracks every learner in real time and helps teachers spot gaps early. The results? With over 3,500 successful Teneo School matriculants, learners improve their average marks by 12% in the first year. Access affordable private schooling, no restrictive entry, with fees to suit your budget. Enroll now for 2026 at teneoschool.co.za. That's TENEO school.co.za.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
The Lions of Teranga have a big plan to demonstrate that they are the 2021 champions. However, the Pharaohs want to emphasize that they are the 7-time record holders. This is the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. Catch the semi-final contest between Senegal and Egypt this Wednesday, 14 January at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Plus, SABC2 and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Then on SABC radio stations at 7 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2025. It's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
It's that time of the year again. Back to school. New uniforms, fresh books, and new beginnings. As learners return to the classroom, let's encourage them to dream big, work hard, and stay focused. Parents, teachers, and communities, this is where the journey continues. SFM wishes all learners a safe, successful, and inspiring school year. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Cathy Mohlahlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
All right, we continue the conversation on the talking point. We're celebrating the matric class of 2025, and in particular, those matriculants who wrote the IEB examinations. That's the Independent Examinations Board. And these young learners have done so well. The overall pass rate for the IEB was 98.31%. Those results were released yesterday afternoon, and now we get to celebrate and speak to some of the top performers. Later on SAFM, you will then also hear some of the top performers for the National Senior Certificates. Those results were released last night. Many of the young people getting getting their statement of results this morning. There's a top learner, one of the top learners in the country that we spoke to on the open line. He's the top performing learner in this province, but he hadn't even seen his statement of results. Why? Because that's just how these things happen. Everything is happening real time. So he just knows that he got a call. He was told, come to breakfast now. And so they're also having to take a step back and process what this moment really means and represents for them. But a lot of hard work that these young people have put into achieving these results. In studio with me, I'm sitting with Mantwese Mpomani, who's from Rodine School for Girls, and she got 6 distinctions. Neha Sunarain from Redham House, Bedford View, who got 7 distinctions. Ash Benjamin from Erlag, and she received 7 distinctions. And we're also joined by Tassine, who is from Lebona College. That's Tassine Chothia from Lebona College of the Royal Bafokeng, and she's received 6 distinctions. So, ladies, I want us to talk about the future. I was listening to that ad that we had about back to school, and I was thinking, guess who doesn't have to worry about back to school now? No polishing of shoes for you after this week, after you've done your victory lap. What does the future look like, Neha? What are your plans? What do you want to do?
Well, it appears that I'm going to study law at UCT in the upcoming year.
I'm not surprised by that at all.
But yeah, I think that is my plans for this following year. So we'll see.
Congratulations on
Thank
getting
you.
accepted into law school at UCT. Have you thought further about what you actually want to do? Do you want to become a lawyer? Do you want to become a human rights activist? What do you want to do with this law degree?
Well, with law, I was thinking of going into AI and technology.
Love it.
specializing further,
I love it.
especially because of how relevant it is and how many new stuff are coming, especially with deep fakes and all that sort of thing. I think it's really interesting to get into, and the cases are absolutely insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your workload is only going to increase, eh?
Probably.
Matric is going to pale in comparison
Oh,
to
we'll
what the
see.
next chapter looks like. And you're looking forward to being Cape Town.
I hope so. I haven't been there in a while,
Uh-huh.
so I think we're gonna go and maybe check it out and stuff like that. But I hope it looks good.
Wonderful. We wish you all the best. Mantwese, do you have a plan yet?
Yes, I do.
What are your plans?
My plan is to go to the States around August, September, to study a BSc in aviation.
Wow.
Yes, and so from this time until then, I'm just going to be focusing on trying to get my private pilot license and then also just play some tennis because that's what I love
Girl,
to
are
do.
you going to be flying us around? Where do we need to start registering so that we're on the waiting list to be flown around by Captain Mpomane? That's absolutely amazing. And do you know specifically what in aviation you want to do?
Well, the courses is just like aviation,
Yeah.
and then you do your pilot licenses and all your ratings
Yeah.
at the specific colleges in the US. And then you get your pilot licenses, and
And
then
do you want to fly
you,
commercial planes? You want to go
yes,
into the Navy, into the Army? Because there's so many options
I
available.
want to be an airline pilot.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
We look forward to having what do they usually do on the planes?
This is your
Attention.
Attention passengers, this is your pilot speaking.
So you already have the script. You already have the script. Our pilot, your pilot, Miss Mpomani. I hope you're getting ready to take off. That's so exciting.
The weather forecast is pretty clear today, so no turbulence.
I can tell you've been practicing, eh? You've been practicing. Ashley, let me come to you. Have you started thinking about, well, of course, I know you've absolutely started thinking. Everybody that gets 7 distinctions is thinking very hard about the future. What are your plans?
Right now, I don't really have a clear plan, but I'm thinking of continuing with with my love for history and law. But also, I'd also like to carry on my passion of technology. I think one of the guests also said they want to go into what I want to go into, which is cybersecurity and law, AI and technology and the evolution of it. Because right now, that is a very, I want to say, complex field because there's a very thin line between progression and I want to say, I'm looking for a word for it. I wanna say, exposure of privacy. Let me put it
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Privacy. AI is doing a lot of controversial things right now, in also as the space that we're in right now, because yeah, it's helping us start out to ChatGPT, but it's also hindering us at the same time. So yeah, I want to get into that field because it's a beautiful thing to work with. Working with people, working with tech machines all at the same time. It's just beautiful.
Yes, it's so exciting listening to you and Neha and the fields that you want to get into because they really speak about the world that you guys are going to be growing up into and all of these issues that are going to form part of your world. You guys are the innovators of the future, right? There'll be so many great ideas and innovations that come from people like you. Tessie?
So I always had a passion for the medical field, and that is the most difficult field to get into. So even with distinctions, I'm still waiting. I'm also a bit uncertain about exactly what I want to do because I have the opportunity to study physiotherapy at Wits, optometry at UK. So I'm still deciding.
Look, Tassin, we always need people like you, right? To be resuscitated, to be brought back to life. There'll always be a need for doctors in society. And congratulations to you. It's not easy getting into medical school, hey? And the waiting lists are just getting longer and longer and longer. And I think that's the reality of the world that you're all growing up into, you know. The competition is so tough, and you have to constantly be thinking about how am I going to set myself apart from the next person? What do I need to do? How do you deal with that pressure? The fact that it's not enough just to get 7 distinctions, 9 distinctions. How do you just continue to believe in yourself and what you have to offer as an individual? Tassin?
So I think right, it's a bit stressful and it does hinder your self-esteem because
Yeah.
I've done like this big thing by achieving situations. It's still not enough in comparison to others.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you just have to self-reflect on yourself, tell myself that I tried my best, I done my best, and now whatever is meant to be will be.
Absolutely. I hope you guys are giving yourselves the credit that you deserve. You've done incredibly well, and you must be very, very proud of yourself, each and every one of you. Before I bring the parents in, understand on the line, we've got another learner, Tarun Vembati. Tarun, I understand that you're from St. David's Maris School and you're the top achiever in Santon. Hello, Tarun.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm doing well. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. It's
Oh,
great to be here.
okay, Tarun, I know that you're not telling the truth when you say you had work balance, work and school balance, because you got 9 distinctions. How is it possible to have work and school balance and 9 distinctions?
Well, yeah, I think it's just about making time for everything and thinking ahead. I think it's something that I really prioritize is my planning for prelims, for finals, and throughout the year. And you always take some time for friends and sports and anything else um, involved to be able to. So
And how are you feeling about this achievement, Tarun?
I'm very happy. I'm also really glad to see that all my classmates and all the matric throughout South Africa have put an incredible result. I think
Mm.
to all our hard work and our even group here. Yeah, really good.
What gives you hope about the future?
I think it's the young minds and the amount of creativity and innovation that everybody, this new generation is bringing forward. I
Mm.
think, obviously we're living in a generation of AI and new technologies that not everybody is using yet. I think, we're using our creative minds to find solutions to society as a whole.
Tarun, thank you so much for coming on air. Tarun Vembati, nine
Thank you.
distinctions from St. David's Maris School. Okay, so let me say goodbye to our top achievers, Mantwese, Ashley, Tassin, Neha. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. And congratulations, like I said, to all of you for these incredible achievements. I just know that you're all going to do well because you've set yourselves up to really do well. And you all sound like you've got your heads in the right space and you're ready to take on the world. So I'm looking forward to all the things that you're going to do, including being flown by Captain Mpomani one day, if I'm so lucky. Mom and Dad, I'm going to ask you, why are you guys afraid of the microphone? Step close. Step close to the microphone. So this is Mantwese and Neha's parents. It's Mantwese's mom and Neha's dad. How are you guys feeling? Maybe introduce yourself. So I have your names. We can start with Dad. Morning, Dad.
Morning, morning. I'm Rishan.
Hello, Rishan. Pleasure to meet you. Morning, Mom.
Morning. Thanks for calling us here. My name is Murakani Mpumani.
Murakani, pleasure to meet you. I mean, you guys walked in here, and the first thing that that I felt was just the overwhelming sense of pride that you have in these kids. Maybe just some words that you want to share with the SFM community that is listening right now.
Yeah, so I think for me, just listening to the kids, as they're talking and knowing that many of them are as self-driven as they are. I mean, our generations, our dads would kind of parents would like kind of force us to study, but they just being as self-driven they are as they are. I mean, that for me is just awesome, and it gives me so much of hope for the future of our country. Like having these kids getting into the workforce. So really, really positive.
Mom?
I'm really, really happy. I'm super proud of my daughter. I'm super proud of what she has achieved. I'm super proud also of what she has become, a young lady she is. I'm happy Rodin gave her that opportunity to excel, to be leading at the school. And I'm happy also that she passed well and she is going to achieve her goals. I'm really happy.
One of the things that I realize from all of the learners is that they're given time and space to pursue their interests, and sometimes parents can have a challenge with that, right? When to let go, when to not let go. Rishan, maybe just one, two words of advice for parents before we say goodbye.
Yeah, I think that's been difficult, especially for me, I must say. But I mean, I think that's where sometimes family comes in. Like my wife and my son. Just having that balance, and like kind of being there, and like, if I'm a bit tough, my wife can like also like come in and like support. But I think really it's Neha. I mean, what she has is like she's done a lot of it on her own, with consistently performing as well. Like. So I think you learn to trust the kids, and you give them the trust, and they just do perfectly fine.
Wow, learn to trust the kids. Learn to trust the kids. The kids are all right. Okay, that's where we're going to leave it for today with our special edition of the Matric Class of 2025 program. Like I said, you can expect more of this later on in the show, and we'll be also acknowledging the achievements of those who wrote the National Senior Certificates. On that note, that's where we leave it for today on The Talking Point. The show is back with you again tomorrow between 9 and midday.
Please note that the views expressed in this book are not that of the station. Listeners' discretion is advised. SFM presents another episode of the book Boardroom Dancing by Nolita Fakude, read by Vuyokazi Ted.
The next critical level of stakeholder engagement was with our customers. Like the employees from the different banks and businesses, our customers were now being asked to gather under one new brand. This meant rethinking our customer value proposition. Again, Tom was very closely involved in this process, working with the different marketing teams to ensure that our market position incorporated all the different aspirations held by the entire range of customers from the different banks. Working with my brand marketing team and the advertising agencies, the brand identity that we ultimately developed from all these engagements was expressed through the theme of deep green. We wanted to be a green and caring bank that would be known as a great place to work, to bank, and to invest. The deep green theme conveyed the novelty, freshness, and sustainability that were intrinsic elements of our newly unified brand. Tom engaged in numerous roadshows, visiting staff across the country's different offices, accompanied by various members of the EXCO team, including myself, to directly share the vision of our new brand with all the businesses. The value of the insider-outsider. My primary vision and ambition at Nedbank was seeing the company's new unified brand successfully articulated and embraced. The financial sector was an entirely new industry for me, however, and the need to rapidly absorb the details of how this new space functioned caused me great anxiety. Recalling my failure to pass accounting university 3 times, one of the first things I asked about my position was how much I would need to learn about accounting. Tom had assured me that the bank had plenty of accountants to crunch numbers, and that I had been brought in for my sound business knowledge and understanding of how organizations operate and run. It turned out that my existing skills and experience stood me in good stead. At Nedbank, I saw how everything from helping run my mother's business at an early age to my exposure to the fundamental building blocks of a business of scale at Woolworths, to the leadership skills I had developed, especially in stakeholder management, as MD of the BMF, were now coming to play. The lesson affirmed here was that business is business, regardless of sector or scale. At this level, it was no longer only about technical skills or the nuts and bolts of why a machine did or did not work, but rather about solid leadership and management skills, which proved transferable from one industry to the next. Although I was coming into a new environment, I brought to the table my diverse experiences in decision-making and problem-solving, which, more often than not, are the key functions of management and leadership. In those first months, while I was still familiarizing myself with the bank's workings, I also came to appreciate the comprehensive toolkit that the Harvard SEP course had provided me. Everything I encountered at Nedbank fit into the various components of what I had studied in that program. From management systems to business processes to finance, my global understanding of how a business operates rested on that sound foundation. This is in part why business school education offers so much more value, whether a short program or a year's MBA. The other key benefit being the peer network gained. The classic business school framework of applied learning will always prove useful as you grow into your career. And the principles and fundamentals of how businesses run and how organizations are built provide an excellent base from which to operate. Although initially appearing as a hurdle to overcome, my outsider status proved in many ways to be an advantage. Unencumbered by the baggage that some of the merged entities labored under, my fresh perspective often positively served our team dynamic. The only outside person on the exco, I could ask questions or analyze processes without raising people's defenses, which sometimes helped the team to move faster on certain issues. For example, when the time came to determine the enterprise-wide information management system to be used by the One Nedbank Group, we considered each organization's system and process with the intent of pulling them together and deciding which was most appropriate. Even though we worked with consultants, as a member of the EXCO, my objective outsider view was particularly prized, mainly because I was not attached to any specific system. I facilitated the conversation by asking logical questions and sometimes prefacing my queries with statements like, "This may be an obvious question for you, but," or, "Because I am new in this sector or industry, can you explain how this works or why we are doing that?" The disarming nature of such statements, especially when coming from a sincere place, can be highly effective. All that said, I still felt a huge pressure to get up to speed and contribute positively as an informed team member in as short a space of time as possible. Nedbank was a big stage, and failing here would be to fail spectacularly. So this was a prime anxiety. There were complex aspects of the industry, things such as how the balance sheet of a bank works, or what security you needed with the Reserve Bank, and how that governance and regulator relationship works, that were fundamental to developing strategy, operations, and fiscal sustainability. I raised this concern with Tom on day one, who appointed Derek Muller, a fellow EXCO member who had been with the bank for over 25 years, as my formal mentor. Sitting with Derek after an EXCO meeting and being able to talk through the intricacies of what had been presented was invaluable. The lesson here was that when entering any new environment, regardless of whether it is an unfamiliar industry or one you know well, you must always ask questions. The detrimental belief that one should know everything at the senior level can prevent people from doing this. Although I was a senior executive, asking questions for clarity and understanding and requesting one-on-one tutorials were what enabled me to contribute fully at Nedbank. This approach has never let me down. The stretch assignment. Working in an entirely new industry at Nedbank, while also serving as BMF president, was a true stretch assignment. It also gave me unique and valuable perspectives on the challenges of meeting transformation targets from inside a large business at the executive level.
Hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people?
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?